Hello and welcome to the Anger Podcast, episode 16. Anger being Albuquerque narrative gamers, not the one you think. This is our show about Adepticon.
That's right. It came and went, and we were Adepticoned by a whole bunch of stuff. It's so much sweeping information for so many different game systems and everything that we're going to kind of go through everything that tickled our fancy. Bill's going to rant about Legion for a while. And we're going to opine a little bit about, kind of the current state of GW stuff that came out because we were, spoiler alert, underwhelmed.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it's there was just so much announced at Adepticon this year, and I think it was bigger than a lot of years in the past. It just seems so weird in the world climate that we have right now. Everybody's expanding this and redoing that, and so many new additions for games. It's crazy. And, like I said, we want to do a little bit of state of GW, state of AOS in particular. There's some handwriting on some walls, and I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm playing Chicken Little or if it's real. I don't know. We'll see in the future. But I want to predict it here in case I'm right.
We'll provide 5 different predictions. That gives us a 20% chance per prediction.
Yeah.
That,
we will be right.
We will be right one way or another.
Yeah.
Unless we're completely wrong, which, hold on, we're going to do 6. So the 6th one is actually that we're wrong.
That we're wrong on all of them.
So it's not 20%, it's 18 point whatever, but we know who's counting. But
exactly.
It's going to be a lot of product talk this episode, but y'all in for a treat because, our inaugural episode of Malifaux Monday is going to be coming out soon too. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to Bat Reps. For the intro stuff, I mean, there's just so much out in gaming right now that we just had to kind of talk about each of them. And as we do, we're going to pick out each individual things and actually do shows about it. Because I guarantee you the Conquest episode is going to be coming.
It's going to be big.
The Malifaux episodes that are going to be coming from that announcement are going to be big. Bill's going to consistently have Legion rants for you and Battletech rants for you. That stuff will be coming up. So we're just going to, when we get to the main topic, we're just going to be going through everything that we thought was worth talking about.
Yeah, really, the new product showcase is the meat of the show. For this one. So some of this you probably have already heard because if you're at all involved in this ecosphere, you've seen what happened at Adepticon, or you went to Adepticon, in which case I hate your guts. I couldn't make it out to Adepticon this year at all, which made me sad. I put right here 2 funerals and a wedding, so that was weird.
Yeah,
it's been a weird stretch of time.
I think that's the wrong name of that movie though, Bill.
My big fat 2 funerals and a wedding. I don't know.
Two weddings and a funeral.
No, that sounds dumb. I don't want to make that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
It's already been done. So anyway.
One other thing I wanted to cover in the intro is if you're not aware of the altered TCG, it died. It has officially been killed, dead. And it kind of makes me sad. It's a really fun game. I would not put it anywhere near like the levels of Magic or Star Wars Unlimited or the Riftbound. Hell, screw Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! But it had a niche, and it appealed to the folks that didn't want to be so competitive. And that could have been the problem because that sphere is all about that. And it was a bold move to try to do something like that. And I think the even bolder move on their part was to try to split away from Asmodee.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories in a couple of videos about how, like Asmodee reps wouldn't even push the product when it was part of Asmodee. They wouldn't even push it. Game stores would be like, hey, I need to get this and this and this for altered and the new sets. And they're like, yeah, we don't have those. And the stores would be like, but you're Asmodee, you own that. You have to have that. And they'd literally have to force these guys to order them stuff. Our local store, Slice and Dice, they had a relationship with the folks that made the game.
Yeah.
So they could get product easily. But I don't think it was that way everywhere. And it's, it's just sad. I hate to see it that you have a cool idea and you just can't get the traction on it. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about them failing is they failed forward so well.
Mm-hmm.
The Kickstarter did not fund. It didn't make it. So they refunded every penny that went into it. And then they took the set that was being kickstarted and said, hey, since we're not going to make it and we're closing our doors, here, all this stuff is available. Go ahead and print it out and do what you want with it. So, and they've Altered has always had that print and play mechanic to where you could, even the fact that you could get cards, then you could get these upgrades and you could actually put it into as you scanned it into the computer. Altered was all about scanning the cards into the computer. That I think was another drawback, but you could apply one of your upgrades to one of your cards and print out the new version. And I mean, that was kind of a cool mechanic, but I think it also drove a lot of people away. Because if you bought a booster box, it's not just opening all the packs and sorting them. It's then you have to scan them and get them into the computer so that you can, that was a little bit weird. But look at your local game stores. I know Vic over at Slice and Dice, he is selling some of the booster boxes, not packs, boxes, for like 90% off. So that $148 booster box is $20. And I was like, okay, give me two.
So yeah, I mean, if you're into dead card games, like I am too, like was it Legend of the Five Rings, which will never ever come back. And it hurts me inside. But Altered was cool. I didn't play it, but I watched a few videos on it. And it was pretty engaging.
Yeah, it had a neat little play style, and I mean, it was nothing to write home about. It did not shake the world in any meaningful way, but it was fun, and it's dead, but it's still completely playable. So yeah, just go pick up the shards of what was left and have some fun.
Yeah, and Weekend at Bernie's your Altered TCG play.
Yeah.
So, it's a shame that the intro is coming, after this ends, but it's something that I, as a new player, didn't know about. But when it comes to the world of Malifaux, they'll have like holiday sales every now and then.
Oh my God.
And when they do the holiday sales, like they resell all of their special products.
Yes.
And I didn't know that. So I didn't told Bill this yet, but after our last recording, I was just going through and I saw the models for Desolate Drift, which is the Rusty Alice, mounted Rusty Alice.
Yep.
That was launched last year in 4th edition, right? And I just absolutely fell in love with the concept because it's so cyberpunky and it's so awesome, right? I was like, oh my God, I am madly in love with this. Couldn't find it anywhere, period, full stop. I mean, speaking about Adepticon, when Defective Dice was doing his walk around the
hall,
the weird area, and I could see Bleed Neon and Desolate Drift on the shelves. I was like, God, you son of...
Get that plane ticket. Come on, go.
Right. So then they announced the Easter sale, right? And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what they got, and they have it all. They have it all. It's all there. I spent too much money.
Yes.
But spent way too much money. I may spend more before the 8th. We will find out. But I just snatched up the Rusty Alice boxes immediately.
Yeah.
I do also have the 4 Horsemen in puppet form, so I can do the Rusty Alice and the 4 Horsemen list.
Yep.
Which is so much of a meme. 5 models. Let's hope this works.
Exactly. I mean, what could go wrong?
Hey, you want to talk about the true elite?
Oh boy,
crew of Malifaux? 5 models. Well, 6 technically. You need the soul battery. But yeah. But yeah, so in the future, if you didn't, jump on it during this period, look for their holiday sales in the future, because they'll, like, if you hit a certain purchase amount, you get free
stuff,
models that they release just for that. So this one was Hippity and Hoppity.
Get off my property.
The one rabbit with it's a sword, but it's a chainsaw. Let's be weird. Let's not be weird. Actually, let's be weird. The way the angle they have the photograph, you're like, that's a chainsaw. That's a chainsaw in that rabbit's hands, and I am here for it.
Yes.
And all those special models will proxy as some other model. Yeah. Right.
And what's nice is right there in the description, they tell you what it's the proxy for.
Yep.
According to their list, that's what it's a proxy for. And of course, chances are you can also apply it to something else if you want to. Yeah, I went on and I may have reached the threshold to get a couple of free models.
Yeah.
Well, also because they're redoing the misses. So, and I have misaligned, I have misanthrope.
Did you get misfeasance this time?
Yeah, I got 2 different ones. So yeah, I mean, it's the Easter sale is such a Ganga thing. Of course, you're not going to hear that until after it's too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, pay attention to Weird, because when they do their holiday sales, it's off the freaking hook. The 2 big sales are their Easter sale and their Black Friday sale. And bonkers, they give you stuff and they make stuff available. It's awesome.
Yeah. I picked up a lot of stuff.
It's good. I mean, it
is, and you get the alt sculpts of some masters that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Gorgeous,
and like when you see those alt sculpts, you're like, I have no need for the other master sculpts. I'll just use this one, no matter which version of the master I'm playing. Right. Like the Dr. Dufresne.
Oh boy,
who's the alt Dr. McMorning. I absolutely love her model.
She's gorgeous. Yes.
You know, alt Rasputina, the alt Pandora. Oh my God.
I got alt Rasputina. I ordered her because I love that pose. That's the one that was the first one I saw in the art. And that's the one that I've always been drawn to. I have the other 2 Rasputinas, but I like that one, and that's the one I'm going to work on. So.
Yeah. Her floating up in the cape.
Yeah.
And that Pandora is the best looking Pandora out of all of them. I mean, similar to the Rasputina things, like she's floating up through the souls as like they open up from the box beneath her. Like, yes. Which Pandora is that? Doesn't matter. It's either one I want right now.
It's kind of weird how in 4th edition they're going more back to that punk/comic book representation of the models. That was like the hallmark of sort of 1st edition. And then 2nd edition kind of just blew the doors off, and they said, we can show women in really low cut tops because we know how to do that now. And that was a big thing. And, they got away from that hard in 3rd and somewhat in 4th. They're trying to clean it up a little, I guess. But honestly, I don't really think too many of the models were over sexualized.
No.
But I'm the worst person to ask about that because I play First Descendant.
Yes.
Okay. So, Gunnar.
Like, if there is a way for Bill to get his Gunnar list, he will. Don't you worry about it.
I've got it. Yeah, don't worry. I've got it.
oh, yeah, you play Colette. That's right.
And I have the new Showgirls coming in.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and those Showgirls be showing. But, it's funny. It's like some of the alts, right? Like, what is the... Rafkin, the alternate Rafkin.
Yeah.
Right? She looks fine.
Yeah.
Dr. McMorning in female form is clothed head to toe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got to remember, these are turn of the century figures. They're not going to be in, cyberpunk outfits and short shorts and all that stuff. But you're still looking at Victorian era clothing. Just some of them have less.
Unless you get Malifaux 1988. So if you are a Mei Fang fan...
Oh, God.
You literally will get that cyberpunk girl in the short shorts on rollerblades with bubblegum popping. Like, it's so funny.
I love their
alt sculpts are hilarious. Like for one of the things that drew me to Rusty Alice was the abominations, and it's a bunch of like fat dudes in like their boxers and stuff. I was like,
which is the definition of an abomination.
Damn, they called it. But yeah, that does it for our intro. We got a lot to talk about here in the main show, so we will be right back with way too much.
The world has gotten even stranger than you already know.
At this point, I doubt anything would surprise me.
$10 says you're wrong.
Okay, so new stuff around the world that came out at Adepticon.
Is it really around the world if it's only in one place?
Well, the companies are around the world.
Oh, okay.
And when I say around the world, I mean like Spain, England,
Greece,
Italy. That's it.
No, but at these conventions, don't they bring all their product to just one place? Like they bring all the product they all have. Anyway, there's a lot that happened, folks. There are definitely some game systems that only Bill really has knowledge of between the two of us. So he's going to talk in a most erudite manner about those. And then, of course, we'll jive a little bit on the ones that I know some things about. But why don't we just start from the top? Bill, talk to us about TT Combat.
Okay, so these are the folks that have always made some of the best wargaming terrain out there. The MDF and now the painted MDF terrain, the pre-colored. So gorgeous. They build terrain on the level of MicroArt and Sarissa Precision. So their stuff is gorgeous. But they're also the ones that picked up the wreckage of the Drop Fleet Commander game. Dave Lewis, the guy that did the original Drop Fleet Commander, it was kind of a small studio, one-man shop. He was doing everything, and it got to the point where it was unmanageable for them, and they sort of semi-folded, although not really. They still supported the game, and it had a lot of support. Has a lot of support. I don't want to say had, but TT Combat picked it up, and they've decided this is our game system, so we're going to ramp it up. And the announcements they made, if you've ever heard of Drop Fleet Commander, which is an epic style 6mm style game, it's a phenomenally good game. There's a second edition out, and the third edition is coming out at Gen Con. It's a blast to play. And they also came out with Drop Fleet Commander, which is one of the very few rule systems for space combat between big ships and fleets. Now that Armada is dead, it's one of the few systems out there that's really playable and fun. So they announced all kinds of things. They also announced that they're going to do Strike Team Commander and Battle Zone Commander. And these are going to be 28 mil, 30 mil combat games. The Strike Team Commander is going to be interior fighting, so think Zone Mortalis, if you're familiar with that. It's all going to be interior ship, and I think that could be a very fun game, especially with the way they do terrain for inside starships and stuff. This could be bonkers. And Battle Zone Commander is same thing, but outside on a planet and a little bit more, I don't want to say skirmish size, but bigger forces involved, but larger scale than the epic stuff. So Dave announced that the 3.0 rules have gone to layout and printing. It's going to come out at Gen Con. He talked about how he took the best parts from the first edition, the best parts from second edition, added some new stuff, made terrain more accessible, and also announced that from 3.0 on, everything's going to be in plastic. No more resin.
Oh, thank God.
Which their resin was never bad. It was always good quality stuff. So,
but plastic usually means prices go down. So,
exactly. Yeah. So I'm just hoping that the whole fleet universe got announcements. He showed off some of the models that he's been designing and working on, and they're nothing less than stunning. Just such a great rendition. The upscaling of all the stuff from the 6mm to 32mm is like, wow, that's huge.
Of the whole set, I gotta say, Strike Team Commander is the one that struck me because I loved boarding actions.
Oh yeah.
Back when 40K was a good game, and like the concept of like that in-depth terrain that they'd be able to do for the interior of the ships, and I could just imagine so many fun just skirmish battles.
Yeah.
That I'm really interested to see how they do. Really interested.
If it's like a freeform Space Hulk, I will be all over that game like crazy. I'm really looking forward to when they're going to announce it, for pre-order, and they will take my money.
Yes.
So
yes, and I will let them take Bill's money, and I'll play with Bill's models.
Agreed.
Unless it hits me like Malifaux does.
Oh yeah, I hear you. So yeah, that was that. Lots of movement in the Fleet Commander universe. So if that's something that's appealed to you or you were aware of it in the past, it's definitely a time to jump in. Maybe wait till Gen Con, but it's time to jump back in because that game is so much fun. So much fun. I put Malifaux second, but we'll move that more toward the end because that's where we... Anyway.
Yeah, so we're going to skip over that and let's head to Warlord Games. Again, this is going to be Bill talking at you while I make commentary and look at his face funny. So it looks like, Conflict 47. Conflict with 2 Ks.
2 Ks, yes.
Yeah. So this is the alt reality World War II?
Yeah, Weird War 2.
Weird War II.
So, Yeah, this is Warlord Games. Such a great company. If you are not aware of Warlord Games, this was a bunch of people from GW that didn't really agree with having the IPO and having shareholders and all that stuff, who just struck out to make their own company and their own games and their own stuff. And I'm not saying, it's the best part of the old GW, but these are, seasoned game designers and what have you over there at Warlord. And the other thing that they have is they understand how to be a game company and a customer of a game company. They get it. They get what people want. So the Conflict 47 stuff, the Festung Europa, the actual rollout was here at Gen Con. But I had my book a few weeks ago because I pre-ordered it. A lot of people already had it because you could get it. But this was the hard launch for it. They announced the next book, which is going to be The Invasion of America. So that's going to, of course, feature the Empire of Japan and the U.S. They announced the availability of B for Birdie, which is a British bot. But he can be taken in any army. He's a British soldier, but he's gone a little haywire, and he is a wandering paladin, I guess you might want to call it. So he is a fully automated construct, and you can work with him in any army. You can hire. The lore is he basically shows up wherever there's a lot of action because he believes it is his purpose to get rid of evil. He's not exactly sure what that is, but he'll be there. He's funny.
God.
Yeah. They also announced that all the starter sets, the complete starter sets, are now available. And what's funny about Warlord Games is one of the big selling points for Conflict 47 was the switch to plastic models. And they've always maintained that as a model goes to plastic, it will get cheaper. And when you look at all their price lists and all their stuff, every time a box goes plastic, it gets cheaper. And it's like, holy crap, they're telling the truth. They're actually doing what they said they were going to do.
Not a gaming company. You must be. No.
I know. It's weird. There's also, they announced, hover vehicles were on display. So that's something that's coming out. They said they were going to round out all the armies. There's a rather limited selection right now because 4th just dropped. So, of course, the Fortress Europa book is out. That book is so good, so fantastic. Lots of scenarios, campaign play, some new platoon types. It really just opens up the game quite a bit. And again, if you're confused about how Conflict 47 works, rules are online for free. All of the army lists are online for free. And there is no overarching, you must use our models and only our models or else you die. So that's kind of you can get a lot of the old bolt action stuff to work in Conflict 47. So super easy to get into now. And I do want to cover one other issue that happened with Warlord Games to sort of display what a good company Warlord really is. When they did the Russian starter set, the Ursus troops, so the big bear Russian troops, the oh my god melee monsters, probably the best unit in the game right now. When they announced that they were going to do all 5 starter sets for the drop of 4th edition, a lot of people pre-ordered the Russians. And it was only after the pre-order phase they found out from the maker that they couldn't do the Ursus models. They were not going to be able to do it. So they immediately stopped pre-orders for the Russian starter army. They told everybody that had ordered it that here's the deal. We're going to 3D print these models and send you those. Then when we get the real models, we'll send you those. Okay, that's just pretty cool. The idea that they'll stop selling because they can't fulfill the orders. There's a news flash for you. GW, Legion, Custodes, battle set. Sorry. So then when they finally were able to get those models made in plastic, they basically said, look, these things are going to go to the top of our production chain. We're going to start spitting these out as quickly as we can. So everybody that pre-ordered got their actual Ursus models. And then if you were involved in that kerfuffle with you ordered and then you got the wrong stuff, they were like, next time you order from the website, we're going to throw in a box of the Ursus just to make it right. And I'm like, holy crap. Somebody that understands customer service and actually being decent human beings.
Yeah, they certainly unkerfuffed it. So
yeah.
That's good on them.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's, when you get on the Warlord community, you do not see the stuff that you see in most communities. I'm just going to say it. Not really most communities. In the GW world where everybody is hating on something or somebody or some type of somebody's, you just don't see that shit.
Yeah.
And it's actually refreshing to get onto a Discord that has people that are genuinely helpful. And when you ask a question, it's not read the rules, idiot, or get good, fool. There's none of that shit. People actually help. So, yeah. That's the Warlord Conflict 47 stuff. I want to try to convince Josh to do a Getting Started Conflict 47, but I did say next episode for that, but I think Conquest will be the next episode.
Potentially. And we're going to get to that here in a bit. But the one thing we really wanted to talk about a little bit, I'm not going to say longer than the other stuff, but with more color commentary, I would say. So we had the GW reveals. So we're talking, well, the gripe is primarily going to be with 40K and with AOS.
Yeah.
Their other game systems tend to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So 40K, hey guys, 11th edition, it's coming.
Oh,
and we're going to do something completely original, which is Blood Angels versus Orcs as the starter box. But don't worry, we streamlined combat, we think. And this is the one that really tickled Bill. There's no more circle objectives.
Yeah.
They're rectangular.
It's revolutionary game design idea to get away from these stupid circular objectives that just lead to nothing but arguments. I've literally seen fist fights over the circles, and you change them to rectangles. Such a simple, elegant, beautiful approach to a game design problem that has literally vexed every miniature game out there forever. Why didn't anybody else think of rectangular objectives? I don't get it. Why? How could you not see how easy this is? A fundamental change to gaming. It just boggles my mind that it took 2026 to figure that one out.
I mean, GW's leading the pack, man. What can I tell you?
I mean, seriously, they're hawking that as a feature of the game. How stupid are you? How literally stupid are you? This is a feature. Rectangular objectives. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's based more off terrain or something. I can't remember. I read a little bit about it, but they're supposed to be upgrading the terrain rules. It's Armageddon, and we all saw the 40K version of the scene with Gandalf the White. With who is it? Denethor? Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Where he's yelling "Flee for your lives" and gets his ass knocked out. I mean, Yarrick shoots him, but it's the same exact scene, which is like visually it looks cool because I love seeing guard fight orcs. Which is awesome, right? And you think like, hey, we're going back to Armageddon. The starting box has to be guard versus nope, it's Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is Armageddon, or is Armageddon coming out as the end of 11th? Is that the starter box?
I thought it was. Oh no, it's supposed to go into it.
Yeah,
right?
I think it falls into it. I don't think it's the starter box.
I think it is going to be.
Okay, I don't remember exactly, and I don't,
because they're releasing some orc stuff and some guard stuff, the new guard vehicles, right, that they announced, and the new commissar character, the lady on that armored semi truck.
Yep.
Which everyone is just going to kit bash into an orc rig, a la Mad Max.
Those models are so cool looking, and
they're so cool looking. That's why I say guard is awesome. Guard sells. There's a lot of diehard guard players out there, but when they're just like, oh, so Armageddon's happening, how do we get the Space Marines there to sell Space Marine models? Well, we could put Blood Angels on the front, but let's say that it's, a group of different Space Marine chapters coming together to go help Armageddon. And that way anyone can paint or play with their favorite Space Marine chapter versus orcs.
They just Blood Angels. Yeah.
I always welcome a new orc kit. Like the new orc war boss looks cool. I mean, like all the globes they've done to orcs like over the years. Yes, please keep that coming. I mean,
oh yeah.
The Gazgul model to this day is still one of my favorite models that they've done. As long as they keep glowing up orcs, I am super happy about that. But it really felt like, oh crap, what still sells? What do we think people are going to buy? Well, why don't we go back to Armageddon, resurrect Commissar Yarrick, somewhat retconny, it just, I don't know. It didn't hit, it didn't hit.
It was cool the first time he came back because that was like, they had the guts to come out and say, he's back, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
And he's angry. This time him coming back is more of a, oh, look, he's coming back again. That's great. That means Gaskell's coming. Yay. It's really, you couldn't stretch yourselves any further than that. This is the state of 40K. Quagmire. It's just stuck on itself. It doesn't know how to advance. And they're literally at a point to where if they try to advance, they hit a wall because you can't fundamentally, unless they decide to blow up the galaxy and start over, a la
Old World. Fantasy battles.
Yeah. I mean, what do? It's you can't move that clock forward. But Jesus, you have the whole galaxy to work with, and you go back to Armageddon because, well, it's got name recognition. And I'm sure that they did the market analysis, and they said a new campaign area wouldn't work. So let's just do this again. And I'm sure the designers were like, oh, yay, we get to do Armageddon again. That's awesome. Fun. But Jesus, cop a clue, people. Do something.
I know, and it feels like, and I'm sure they'll go back and try and wrap up some of those storylines, but like, I mean, Dawn of Fire was like the most like pathetic 40K novel series that they released, right? There was like flashes of like cool things happening here and there, but on the heels of like, the Horus Heresy and everything, finishing and stuff, and they're like, well, we still need to do 40K writing, so let's just put our worst writers on it and give them nothing to work with. And then, oh wait, no, now it's Titus and the 500 Worlds of Ultramar. Just kidding, it's Armageddon.
Yeah. The only thing that was missing from Dawn of Fire to me, as far as product placement goes, they really missed a trick, because as big as GW thinks it is, they probably should have gone for the Pepsi Custodes and the Coca-Cola Marines.
Yeah.
I think, recognized paint schemes, easily available decals.
God.
That's the only product placement they missed in all of Dawn of Fire. Other than that, it was a book series of buy this new shit so that you can recreate this scene that is so flippin' boring it hurts. But yeah, it's loser.
I mean, Bill, I'm inspired now. Like, I hate Ultramarines.
But Pepsi
it's
Marines.
interesting, but like blue is like one of my favorite colors, right? But now I could just slap a freaking Pepsi logo on the shoulder pad, and suddenly I'm actually kind of interested here.
Yeah.
Because like it's being the hipster of Ultramarines,
Sure.
right? And you're like, come on, let's be honest, guys. This is who they are. Coca-Cola symbols on the Blood Angels, right? Like Mountain Dew on the Dark Angels.
Oh, or white scars. I mean, they got the white in there too. Oh man.
No, white scars are monsters.
Oh, duh. Hello. That logo. Good Lord. It even looks appropriately.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. So yeah, I mean, let's just get into this product placement stuff. GW, you want to go mainstream so bad. Hello, here's your opportunity. And yes, we will take royalties from these ideas. So
God, if someone out there has the capability to really like take the most recent Armageddon trailer, right? And then like just shop in the freaking product placement.
Oh my God. That would be so hot.
And then have you seen those videos where it's the orcs from Lord of the Rings but with normal voices?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Right? And then have like one of those guys like dub over certain lines, when he's like, flee for your lives, right? It's like, drink Pepsi for your lives, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
I need to see this happen.
Yes.
Because that will really just summarize what's happened in 40K.
And what kills me is like those new guard vehicles are so flippin' gorgeous.
Yes.
They are. I can see so many uses for those in so many other games. Yes, I will be giving GW money for those vehicles, but damn, not for 40K, that's for sure.
And so I think the problem with 40K is different than the problem with AOS.
Oh yeah.
And this was really interesting because I was having a conversation last night over at Decked about like Old World and AOS, right? So the big announcement for AOS was twofold. It was the Cities of Ash, which for all the Skaven players out there, everyone, got the little tingles because Eshin's actually dropping fresh models.
Yep.
Which I'm a fan of. I love Skaven models, right? Skaven have been a faction of mine since second.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I pretty much played every Horde faction there was in second. But, like finally seeing the new sculpts, they look gorgeous. They're not complex, right? They're just ninja rats, right? And they're exactly what we thought Eshin should look like.
Yes.
Great. I don't care about the free guild. But they did get a couple cool looking models.
Yeah.
Like
Very cool.
the cog fort is legit. I really liked what someone did. I think I saw it on Instagram where they used AI to shop it, but they took the cog fort and did one for every single faction in the game.
Oh my god.
And so it was so cool. So, like the Zinch one, the Slaanesh one, the Ogor Ma Tribes one. It was just so fun to see that happen. And now I'm like, guys, this could be the next Gargant, the Mega Gargant,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, let everyone cog fort. Like,
Yes.
You know what? If you're going to drop this ridiculous model, let us all cog fort. It's essentially the equivalent of a knight at this point.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, heavy on free guild, right?
Yep.
And Cities of Sigmar players, yeah, I mean, they're eating good.
Yeah.
In terms of model production. The Ogres with the gate that they're carrying around.
Yep.
Like, that was fun. But all in all, it's just one issue that seems to be happening, and I know we were going to talk about this later, but let's just talk about it now because it's this topic. It's like Old World seems to be outpacing AOS pretty quickly.
And, yeah, when I saw that Lords of War video about sales, that was shocking. And to me, it's something that I kind of felt was going to happen when they did the Old World, that it would pull players away from Age of Sigmar. GW's thought, I'm sure, was it's going to bring back all those old players that left. But I think what you're also seeing is a lot of Sigmar players are like, well, that seems to be a happening scene, and there's a lot of people over there. Let's do that. And when you have a stagnant world like Sigmar is right now, where there's really nothing going on, why not go play a game where there's new, fresh stuff to get interested in? So, yeah, I think the Old World is poaching harder on AOS than they expected because sales are definitely down.
Well, one thing that I think was happening, one of my theories, mark it if I'm right? So the issue with AOS is it's homogenized at this point, right? Like playing back, like particularly like 2.0 and then some of 3, but particularly 2.0, like every army was distinct and different. Even though you're playing a Horde army, right? Everything had its own flavor and feel and all that. But with the current state of like the rules as they are, is that all the Horde armies are just all the Horde armies.
Yes.
And like their upgrades and stuff are not dissimilar from upgrades from another faction, right? They have like slight little quirks here and there just so it's not like literally carbon copied, right? Whereas if you look at the Old World, every army is distinct in, like their own mechanics, that kind of thing, in the flavor, in the feel, right? All of it. Not to mention GW stuck a knife in my back when they took Beastmen out of AOS. But Beastmen are in Old World.
Yes, they are.
And so I have all those painted models that I could just get square base adapters for and play in Old World. But I think that's the issue, right? Like if from a player engagement standpoint, right, you're always going to have your competitive like AOS style players and things like that. But even if you're looking at, the broader spectrum of folks doing like battle reports and things like that, everyone is bringing in Old World because Old World's gaining so much popularity. I mean, consistently across, I don't know how many that I watch regularly, like 3 or 4, right? They'll still play some AOS games, but Old World's being folded in much more consistently.
Everywhere. And honestly, it's because playing a game of AOS is about as fun as watching the paint dry. Everything is so homogenized. They have traded away all of the flavor of AOS for this mythical balance that only appeals to one subset a very vocal subset of players and does nothing for the rest. And, newsflash, the rest is where you make your money. And the rest doesn't want to buy an army that's exactly the same as every other army, just painted different. Because I can use the army I have now, and it plays just like every other army. So there's no point. There's no flavor to buy OCR Bone Reapers over. I was going to use the fire people, the little short dwarves, but that's a bad example because they just suck. But there's no real point to expanding your collections because they're the same. You're not getting a new play experience by playing Flesh Eater Courts versus OCR Bone Reapers, and it's boring. It's boring as sin. And it had, I've already stated hundreds of times, the world doesn't matter. You've made it so big that nothing that can possibly happen matters. So with infinite space comes absolute disinterest. And that's what you created. And that's why I think they're going to blow it up again. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Or implode it. Either way.
I mean, they've got to do something to make shit matter, because right now it doesn't. And the armies are flavorless. Whereas you can go to Old World and holy crap, everything is fun again. Everything's convoluted and the rules are an older version of the rules. But let's face it, people that are playing miniatures games like this are going to be able to figure that stuff out. You don't have to dumb it down to the point of a glorified board game.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into later as well.
Hey, and if you are interested in the Old World, Conquest is better. Get on that Parabellum train. Come on, folks.
Yes.
Woo, woo. We'll talk about that a bit.
If you want rank and flank, don't. Yeah, just get Conquest. A, it's about 80% cheaper, and B, it's a lot more fun. Sorry, but it is.
And the quality of the models is
off the hook.
Skyrocketing.
They're completely different factions.
So other stuff that was announced, Middle Earth strategy battle game, Burning of the Westfold, with new writers of Rohan as well as Hillman. Love that game.
Yeah.
Very
surprised by this, though, because we just got new writers of Rohan in the last box set and new in Hillman in the last box set. So why were these but okay, that was your announcement. So yay, you. Warhammer Underworld's got a Lumineth Realm Lord warband. Okay. Well,
yep. Underworlds is just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun game.
Exactly.
And the cool part about that is if you don't want to get into the whole entirety of AOS, right, all that stuff, buy yourself the starter box and then pick your favorite, crew that you want to play with, and it's great.
It's really a fun game. You can play it in a few, 90 minutes or so. And once you start figuring out and you start doing all the devious decks, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Then Horus Heresy, Talarn Book 1. Bill's favorite Ogren models ever printed are now coming to Horus Heresy. They are, I gotta tell you, I think Bill's probably banked at least a few $100 to buy these Ogren.
What the hell are those models? Oh my God, they're so ugly. They're so not Ogrens. They are just, wow. Okay, a new interpretation. Somebody out there is going to absolutely love them. I look at those and go, ogres in spacesuits. That's cute. Bye. So you can keep that shit.
Kill Team. This is super cool. I think this is really cool.
This looks off the hook.
Red Terror versus Cadians. Literally, you're oh my God. It's your aliens dream world, right?
Yes.
This is when they announced that, I was like, God, they keep knocking out of the park with Kill Team, right? And I always thought about have a monster that you have your party fight, right? Yeah. But as soon as they said Red Terror and Cadians, it's duh. Not only duh, but yes, I want to play this.
Colonial Space Marines against it's just so perfect. I am a day one buyer of this one. Kill Team is the only thing in that ecosphere to me that they put creativity and thought into. Amazing.
Well, Necromunda, but no Necromunda announcements this time around. But in their mainstream stuff,
yeah, that's true.
Kill Team is great. The newest version of Kill Team is chef's kiss.
Yep.
Chef's kiss. So, you may hear us ranting about how we fought the Red Terror in the future.
It's so cool. Such a great. Oh, I love that one. They have guts over there at Kill Team, so thank God for them. The last thing they did was they announced this animation series that's based on Aeronautica Imperialis. So either that means the game's going to rise from the dead, which means all my painted stuff is going to be worthwhile again, even though it is in Legions. Or maybe they're going to just really ramp up the rules for Legions Imperialis and have a whole air component to it to make it viable, make it more interesting or something. But it just seems to be a really weird animation series to announce at Adepticon. I'm totally looking forward to it. So
they announced it just for you, Bill. They knew you were watching. You were going to look at it, and they're like, Bill needs something here.
And the thing is, Legions Imperialis is really a not bad game.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say great, very good. It has all the issues that a GW game will have, but it's really a lot of fun. And I can see them expanding that ecosphere a little bit. And, really, if they decide to do something to ramp up, or maybe they're going to re-release Aeronautica Imperialis, who knows? That was a fun game, too. And it's not dead. The books are still there. The rules still work. It's a fun game. So who knows where they're going?
They didn't delete the rules for it?
Oh, well, yeah, I think if you have some, Pinkerton comes by.
Oh, okay.
But, it's, I don't know.
But yeah, those models were so cool, and it was like such an awesome sort of like, it felt like it was forecasting, Legionis Imperialis.
Oh yeah.
And I'd love to see them at least incorporated into that game, because yes, that's an awesome layer to add into that game.
Yeah, and right now they are layered in, but it's abstract at best, and it's effective, but it's always going to be kind of a side note. I would love to see here's the Legions Imperialis board. Here's the Air War board.
That's what I'm talking about.
And whatever gets through here can show up on the table. And I'm like, that would be a really neat, God help them if they try to make those rules, because boy, that's going to be intense. So good luck. I hope it works out for you guys.
The cool thing too would be if, in a layered approach in terms of like a narrative engagement, right? Is that you will have your air commander, right? Which is someone on your team, right? Like a 2v2.
Yeah.
And you have your ground commander.
That would be fun as hell.
And the air commanders have to duke it out where it's like, something simple would be, like trying to deliver the payload to the enemy side of the battlefield to, weaken the forces by just dropping the bombs on them, right? But meanwhile, you have all the dogfighting and stuff in the air.
And the transports.
Right? And so whoever like prevails, right, is going to have a significant effect on the battlefield, right? Like that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
How they incorporate it,
That would be so fun.
That would be.
And maybe that's in their plans. I don't know.
I doubt it.
Again, the different studios, the different studios have different designers, and some of them have guts. Obviously, the 40K and AOS ones don't, but
Kill Team ones do.
Yeah, they sure do. They go off the hook. So that was kind of the GW yawner.
Brand, yeah.
So, it wasn't great. There's a couple of really big keynotes, and I'm sure, the majority of the world, that's all Warhammer is all, so happy about new 40K, but honestly, I didn't see anything so far in there that's been, other than, of course, the revolutionary square objectives, or rectangular, excuse me, so that they can fit the L-shaped buildings. That is the only thing you can find now.
For those people who make their living off of GW, they're probably woo. Yeah.
So, shall we move on to Parabellum?
Okay, so we have to not get caught in this.
We're going to, but let's try not to.
Like, this is going to be its own show, but
it will be the next show.
So Parabellums, they made so many updates.
Almighty.
So the FAQs, the rules PDF, there's so many changes. We're not going to go through them all here. Bill's going to try and rant about Nords. I'm going to try and stop him. But there were sweeping changes for some factions.
Yes.
Right. In particular, the two factions Bill and I like the most.
Yeah.
So you have Nords and Old Dom. The cool thing for Old Dom is that they literally they're trying to bring them into modern era.
Yeah.
Right. Because their rules had not changed. Except for a couple little things here and there. The Aura of Death being the big one.
Yeah.
But that was Aura of Death was across the board, right? And so they just been sitting with, at this point antiquated
rules, yeah.
So they just like, hey, let's go ahead and let's zhuzh them up. Let's bring them back in. Let's make it effective. They had some things because like the whole getting flanked now is significant.
Getting rear is huge to everybody but OD.
Yeah, you don't even get a morale roll, right? Or you fail your morale rolls.
Automatically fail. You automatically fail. Checks.
And so old Dom, since they don't take morale checks, they got brittle to, sort of coincide. But then old Dom got glowed up in so many other ways. We're going to cover that at a different point.
Yeah, it's a show.
Yeah.
That one's a show.
Nords got updated. So like, hey, guess what? Your entire range is viable now.
Yes.
As opposed to just sticking with and I hate saying this because I always think I'm saying,
it's
something
gross.
Volva.
Yes. VOLVA. Yeah, I mean
they just incidentally the female warriors, but anyway.
the markedly good list for Nords after the last set of changes to the Nords was the Volva taking her Valkyries, taking her extra new toys that she could bring in. I believe it was the Raiders. And she would be the warlord because of her crazy cool ability. Then she would take a Vargar Lord with her who would bring the Gulter Beast pack, who would bring the Fenrir Beast pack. That's your speed element. And the Gulters being one of the most oppressive units in the game. They were very, very good. And then you just fleshed it out with whatever. There were no real other viable alternatives to competitive Nords. Now, they've gotten rid of some of the basic army rules and replaced those with tribal tactics, which now makes all of the other leaders, the Konungir, the Blooded, the Jarl, the Shaman especially, they've made them all have very, very viable and fun lists. And I'm really looking forward to building a whole bunch of Nord lists.
This reminds me of like the glow up the Wadroon got.
Oh yeah.
Most recently. Like, and the cool thing is that it's really embracing the lore side at the same time,
Yes.
Like when we're looking at these changes, it feels like, you know what? Yeah. Like you switch over to tribal tactics, right? And being able to like have the flexibility and like, okay, you need to change to this and you need to change to that. Like it has that real, like hit and run,
yes,
Viking style, attacks that the Nords do,
Yeah, they gave them back their thing. The other thing in this new FAQ is, and they state, if you ever want to have fun, read the designer notes in the FAQ because it's the guys saying exactly what they felt as they made these changes. And sometimes they'll be flat out saying, we screwed this up when we made the last change. So now we're putting it back to where it should be. But a lot of them are like, hey, look, we took this away from the army, but look at how cool this is. You're going to love this. We do. So, yeah. And all through the book, throughout all the changes to the Euroni and everybody else.
Yeah.
And especially the Weaver courts, they explain why and what their thought process is. And, that helps so much when you're on the table and you're like, well, how does that interaction actually work? And then you look at that designer note and you kind of get their idea. Oh, now I get it. So, yeah, they're very, very, I love the way they do their facts.
So pretty sure next episode is probably going to be devoted to us dissecting at least Nords and OD.
Well, and the new rules. I mean, the new rules change some fundamental not game-breaking changes, but, fundamental interactions, which
explain the changes that were made in other parts.
Yeah, it's because in order to modernize the Old Dominion, they had to change some basic rules, and then going through and making the changes to every other faction so that they played right and didn't get just blottoed by OD or something.
Well, like you were talking to me about before the show, like with Aura of Death, you're like, well, are the Dwegs still going to have their Aura of Death 7, 14, 20? Yeah. No.
21 hits. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they toned it all down.
So wait, what happens if you activate next to me? I'm sorry.
Put up your toys, mate.
Yeah. No. Don't take them off the stands. Just take the stands.
Just take the stands.
But yeah, that's going to be a deep dive for us.
Yeah.
Big call out to the new Weaver Court stuff. I don't want to play Weaver Courts except in First Blood because I'm running the big bad Beetleborgs. Those models are sick. Holy crap.
And Adepticon was the rollout of the new First Blood rules.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. It's gone over like gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I mean, in the local Conquest scene, you can easily find a game of First Blood.
Yes.
It's crazy how many people are just trying it out and finding out it's really fun. And, you know, the best part is it's the models you already have.
Yes.
You are not.
Yes.
I mean, you can buy the First Blood starter sets if you're just getting into Conquest. But if you have the army, trust me, you have a First Blood army. You know, if you have
multiple versions of it too, like
God,
different amalgamations.
And it's a brand new rule set, and it now plays like its own skirmish game.
Yeah.
It is not just a derivative of Conquest.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, prior to this relaunch of First Blood, there was almost no interest.
No
interest. Everyone's just kind of like, it's the smaller version of the game, but I really want to play my ranked flank.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing that I really like about like First Blood getting this new life, you know, put back into it, is that you can really work and make some really fun tailored lists, you know, like do crazy stuff. Hey, you know what? I really like that. This is what I did when I first was, you know, doing First Blood stuff, was like, I really like the T-Rex and the Raptor Riders.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't want to play Wadroon.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm going to get those
Yes.
and play them in First Blood.
And
I have 4 models, but
yes.
it's so cool. You know, I love Triceratops. I love the Beatles, right? Well, not the band, but
I'm sorry, what?
What?
You said you were leaving?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Call me Blackbird. So I like that, you know, if it's one of those things you're like, oh, I really love this model, but I'm never going to play it in an actual army. First Blood's here for you.
I'll tell you, it's how I'm going to start Old Dominion. You know, it really is, because I don't want to play it because you're playing it, but I will damn sure try it in First Blood for fun, you know?
Well, I'll bring the models over and you can use them.
Exactly. So
I have almost everything I think that you would play with.
Yep.
Oh, I need to get the Cataphracto painted up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I'm saying, it's great what they've done to, you know, always impress.
Yep.
You know, Parabellum's coming out, swinging every single time.
Yes.
And I think, you know, I'm still digesting a lot from the FAQ and everything, because I think I read through it once and it's kind of like, holy crap, this is awesome. Now, you know, when Bill and I come back, next time we'll have really sort of broken it down and discussed it a little bit more before the show, so we'll be able to report it back to you in a much more
gory detail.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, just, we're always talking about how they're making these sweeping changes and the facts are changing. Honestly, once you know the Conquest rule system, these changes that are coming are not huge. They are incremental changes. And we're always talking about how Parabellum pulls these small levers to make the game better.
Yep.
We're always talking about how crazy big the changes are. But in reality, it's really not. They are so measured in their approach. And if you look in the fact document, you'll see this, the city-states got their baby glow up in preparation for they're the next one on the chopping block to get the full redo. And they need it. They're the oldest faction that hasn't been redone. So looking through some of those changes, I'm like, oh my, they got a big sloppy wet kiss on the mouth. They are fun.
So more on that next time
Yep.
for sure. So Corvus Belly's up next.
Yeah.
Warcrow, we got some new model announcements, and the narrative campaign.
Yep.
Super stoked. So Hegemony of Embersig, you know, needed more models and more ways to be the best army in the game.
I really think they needed something after that last turnout they had, after that last showing. I think they needed a buff.
Yeah.
And they're getting it with the Gunnery Corporal.
Yeah, there it is.
I mean, when you're the top 5, it's okay. So the Scions of Yaldabaoth, the Harvester Riders, did you see those models?
I did not yet.
Holy. So it's cavalry for Scions. Oh, good golly. And this is, I'm not sure, but I think it's the first model to come out that was not in the old sets, that you could not have gotten without this setup. Yeah, I think it's the first thing. Feudum got Knights, and Pierre Besson, Grand Master of Losna. So a named character and some cavalry of their own. They are looking at the Witch, which is a narrative campaign. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a standalone narrative campaign, not tied to a box, I don't think. So very, very cool. Everything for Warcrow just keeps going apace. Remember, this is Corvus Belli. They're not going to glut the market with 5,000 models a month. Nope. You're going to grow these armies slowly and intelligently over time because it's Corvus Belli and they're pretty cool. In the Infinity world, the big thing they announced, of course, was Infinity Hexadome Legends.
Yeah.
Which is the reboot of Aristea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Aristea is a crazy, chaotic, fun game that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no doubt in my mind that this new Hexadome Legends is going to be on that same level. I think it will be a little simpler than Aristea because Aristea could get a little complicated when you started adding the new box set characters and stuff.
Yeah.
And it could get a little off the hook. I'm really looking forward to this because that will scratch my Infinity itch. Mm-hmm. So, but also for Infinity, hey, Caledonia, Not Dead, coming out. Yay!
Heyo.
So all you people that were mad about, keep in mind, they said this at the beginning, all of the factions that got dropped during the change to N5, they were going to be brought back. And so this is the next one that's going to be brought back. So, also new models. They have Miranda Ashcroft, the new Riot Girls models, which are so cool looking. Sartroids and Gearheads are coming. Oh my Lord. And then those are all they're Corvus Belli, beautiful models. And those
absolutely gorgeous,
off the hook. And then they announced the next big box, which is going to be Operation Maze Breaker, which just from the name, it's intriguing. I like that name. And because the forces in that box are going to be Corregidor, obviously CJC, so Nomads versus Aleph. The Aleph is going to be the OSS operations subsection. It will be released at the UK Games Expo in May, so get your pre-order stuff ready for Warsenal or wherever you order your wonderful stuff. If you're not ordering from Warsenal, you're not a good person. Okay, that's an opinion. I really like Warsenal. Those guys are phenomenally cool.
Oh, I've never ordered from them, so I must not be a good person.
You're not a good person.
Oh, okay.
Well, and you also said something about the Beatles, so you got 2 strikes.
They also announced their narrative campaign too for Infinity coming out. They are working with what they say it was prolific Australian Infinity player or something like that. So they're working with a content creator to look at a narrative campaign for Infinity, which, I gotta say, again, it's one of the crunchiest systems out there.
It is.
If you want to, have your own narrative gaming experience within Infinity, they are working on something. Not that it isn't already there. I mean, you can write your own stories, folks, if you are creative in that way. But they're actually baking in their own narrative stuff, which is a big bump.
It sounds cool. It sounds very, very cool.
But no real news on that from it. It was just kind of like, hey, this is in the works. Right?
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into things like BattleTech and Atomic Mass Games and all that stuff before we hit Malifaux. All right, let's pick it up with BattleTech news. Big thing here, the new core rule book and box set. All of the playtest stuff that's been happening over the last year has come to fruition. A lot of neat changes in the new edition, but it's still virtually the same as it always has been. They're cleaning up some of the terrain rules. So water is not an automatic death sentence anymore. So, thank God for that. Water, I can't. They got away from that rule a long time ago, but now it's really good. They've toned down the ammo explosions. Autocannons now don't jam. So thank you, God. They actually become a viable weapon again. So all my old models that I love that were equipped with autocannons are now usable, and I like that a lot. They also showed off the new Aces box, which is called Snowblind. already pre-ordered. So, oh my God, I cannot wait. Aces is so much fun. So much fun. But big glow up to Classic Battletech. I really can't wait to get that core rulebook and see it. And, we'll have to try a game of just Classic to show off how cool that can be. And then, hell, we should probably do an Aces campaign at some point. They're quick. So, and they also teased Aerospace again. So everybody's been waiting for the Aerospace rules to be redone and to be brought in line with the current game state. And it looks like it's still on track. So all we can do is hope. But a lot of really, those big new box sets. There's a new intro set, which is, just 2 mechs and quick start rules to get people into it. And then, of course, there's the new core box, which is going to have absolutely everything you need to play the game. And it's a real neat little refresh. Can't wait. Some of the mechs in the box sets are very, very well thought out, very, very well positioned to be a good, fun box going forward.
And Battletech is always going to be old reliable for everyone out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's always going to be a good system.
Yep.
You don't go this long for 40 years with this large of a fan base and be so successful without having such a solid rule system.
And be growing so much over the last couple of years,
it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And, I have to say, like, in terms of, like, getting into a tabletop wargaming game itself, like, Battletech might be one of the most accessible.
Oh, yeah. Super cheap.
Yeah, super cheap. You don't have to assemble, paint if you want to, right? I think the hardest part with it is, like, catching up on the lore.
Yeah.
Understanding, all the different, factions, sub-factions, sub-factions, and all those things, and picking out, like, okay, what's my paint scheme, right? Paint scheme might be the hardest thing ever for Battletech. Yeah. Other than that, the classic rules are crunchy.
Yeah.
Crunchy, but I still think they're accessible and I'm not going to say easy to understand, but, like, they really pay off reps.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so,
it is crunchy, not infinity levels of crunchy.
No.
But the basic rules are 20 pages, if that, loaded with illustrations. After that, it's all the weird, crazy equipment. If you buy stock standard mechs, Succession War or even late Succession War, you're not going to run into 90% of that book because you're just using all standard stuff. And so you add the layers of complexity that you want to that game. And you don't have to, if you don't ever play post-clan invasion, you will almost never run into weird rules that have weird interactions. You just won't. So I love the way that it lets you define your own play style completely without any limits. And you're still playing up against other people who are going off scale high with the optional stuff or extra stuff.
I do have to say, again, even though it's like we talked about, it's crunchy and things like that, it's still one of the coolest incidentally narrative systems there is. Because, like, you just get that, like, pilot shot or, you hit the engines, like, one of those things happens and it's just like that huge freaking monster that was coming down, bearing on me, like with the Atlas or whatever, and I disabled it.
Yeah.
And, like, everything shifts.
Yeah, everything
and, like,
changes.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool.
It is so good.
So, yeah, Battletech, always good, and expect Bill to rant a lot about that over the...
Yes.
Especially once Snowblind drops.
Yep.
Now on to Atomic Mass. Holy cow.
Holy hand grenades. Did they drop some bombs? Holy wow. I'll hit Legion. You're not that familiar, I guess. I just want to say off the top, they have really hit this Legion 2.0 hard, and they hit the ground running with it. It's been amazing to watch how the community went from, damn, I hate AMG, and they have screwed up everything to do with Legion, to now where it's like, holy crap, they're going from win to win to win. And it's because they get it. They understand it. And they get what makes the game fun. And they understood what made the game suck before. And they made it go away. So again, those two designers, the Wills, they were the guys that brought you the best, what's his name? War Machines and War Mahords version ever. And then they left when they saw that the owner was having a mental breakdown and formed their own. And now they're just going, okay, we're just going to make all these great games on our own. So hats off to those guys.
Where there's a wills, there's a way.
Exactly. So coming up for Legion, one of the big announcements was the Jedi Council box set that's coming out. So you got Mace Windu, Shakti, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Plo Koon. And oh my God. Oh wow, are those going to be fun. And so to counterbalance that, you also are getting the Leaders of the Separatist Alliance box. So you're going to get Count Dooku, Savage Opress, General Grievous, and oh God, I forgot her name. Oh, purple robes, 2 lightsabers. Oh my God, I forgot her name. Okay, I'll get back to it. Then they just briefly showed Han and Chewie mercenary box. So this is Han and Chewie before they hooked up with the Rebel Alliance. This is Han and Chewie out there being just barks. They're doing the Jedi bark speeder, so give your Jedis a way to move around. Yay! Guerrilla Troopers was another that's going to be a big hit. So a new troop choice for the Rebels. Awesome. Imperial Mud Troopers, which, to be honest, they announced the Mud Troopers. A big cheer went up in the room, and I was like, what the fuck are Mud Troopers? I don't remember them. Okay, I just have to go back and watch the shows again. So they also did Wet Weather Gear Stormtroopers. They're doing an army box for the 224th Armored Division. Oh my God, just take me back to the cartoon. I just want to live in the world. Thank you. Bye.
Now this next one you're about to bring up, I read this and lost my mind a little bit.
This is off the hook. They are announcing a brand new standalone army. So a new faction, Mandalorians, which I misspelled. Mandalorians, and it's coming out on June 26th. And I wrote an expletive laden, wow, that's really cool.
Holy, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So this is a 600-point box, and in it is all the Mandalorians that you know and love. And they have a create your own clan capability. So you don't just have to be one of the 5 biggies.
Yep.
You can be your own clan and give it the rules that you want it to have. Obviously, there's going to be, there's going to be a limit.
Yes.
You can't make Ultimando or whatever, but you're going to be able to tailor it to your play style. And this box, I think, is going to go nuts.
That might get me into the game. And if I do, I am going to name my army after Bill's misspelling.
The Mandalorians.
The Mandalorians.
You jerk. Just because I can't spell. Oh, goodness. You'll hear more about that in After Dark. Yeah. Why I can't spell too good. Anyway, it's kind of comical what I had to do this weekend.
It's not After Dark for copyright purposes.
No, it's anger issues.
Anger issues,
yes. Yeah. Anger issues.
Anyway, air support coming in 2027?
Yeah, so once again, they dropped that teaser that air support for Legion is going to happen in 2027. So next year. Probably be announced early on, Adepticon or something, but still really don't know what that's going to be. Is it just going to be new airframes? New models we currently have the speeder and the what's his name, and the Mandalorian box is going to come with one of their little kind of fighter things. Or maybe it's going to be something as complicated as, a reduced form of X-Wing that you can play in tandem with the game, or I don't know what it's going to look like. I have to learn more about this, but they're going to be bringing in air support for Legion, which I think is going to be a huge thing. I think it's going to change a lot. So who knows what it will be? I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to find out.
Yep. So then next up, they announced, AMG did, MCP alliances. So this is Marvel Crisis Protocol alliances. Now this is a gateway game. Yes. This is its own game box, and it's its own kind of game. You're looking at maps that have hexes on them.
Yep.
The models are going to be easy to assemble, press fit stuff. And, as they were going through this thing, Will was talking about, this is going to be the entry point for board gamers, regular board gamers, to get into a miniatures game like MCP.
Yep.
And it will kind of ease them into how to build models. These are all press fit, and they looked good. They had real models there, and they looked solid good. So hopefully they're taking a learn from GW on how to do press fit models, because their press fits are so good, really good.
I mean, the big question is, how are they going to do a press fit for the 4-part head of a human-sized model?
I think they fired that guy. No, I don't. Yeah, he's not involved with this project, I'm sure.
This is such a cool concept. Again, being that, I mean, it's a gateway drug, right? For, the board gamers, solid board gamers to maybe transition into MCP. It could also work in the reverse if you have friends that are more consistently board gamers and they're trying to get you off the tabletop into more board gaming stuff.
Yeah.
But it's always a big win whenever there's a similar yet distinct product that acts as the intermediary.
Yeah.
Right? So MCP alliances will be bridging the gap. Now, Shatterpoint's written down here, Bill. I thought this was a dead game.
Okay, so... I mean, they literally put out a press release. It was not April 1st that they did this and said, hey, listen, our support for Shatterpoint is going to go way down. And basically they said Shatterpoint's dead, and it's nothing. We're going to do the yearly balance update and we're going to release a box now and then. But other than that, development is, done. And then they had a big Shatterpoint, its own little release presentation, and I was like, what in the hell? So you have this new box coming out that's called Alone with Friends, where you have Rey, Poe, Chewie, and Han from I don't know what number movie it is, but from the first of the latest trilogy movies. So some really interesting new characters to try. Obviously, Rey is a Force user. Mm-hmm. Poe is probably going to be a beat stick. Mm-hmm. Chewie and Han will be the supports. Okay, then along with that, I will finish What You Started box sets coming out, which is Kylo Ren and his assorted bad guys. And I'm like, these are not, oh, hell, let's just throw this together and chuck it in a box. These, they had to think these characters out.
Yeah.
And they also announced that the character rebalances are coming in May. So we'll be getting new cards or, print stuff in May of this year. So the character rebalances are going to come out and they're going to take a crack at the game again, fix some of the niggling issues that still exist in the game. So for a dead game, they got a pretty massive announcement of new stuff coming out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so it's dead, not dead. And I literally already put my stuff up. Why did you do this to me? You people are poop. Anyway, I'm going to go get it all out again. And that makes me mad.
Like a happy mad.
It's a very happy mad because I do like Shatterpoint. Shatterpoint is, you can engineer a really bad game. You can, you can take Ewoks against Imperial Force users or the Inquisition or something like that. And you can manufacture yourself a bad game. But 90% of your games are going, because of the way everything swings every turn, very few games end up as, well, it's the bottom of turn 3. Let's quit because I can't win. It very rarely happens with that back and forth mechanic that just swings the turns and the victory points back and forth. So I don't know. I think it's a very fun game. I must be in the minority, however. So then we get to the flagship, Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Yeah, and there are no announcements there, so let's move on to Mantic. God, there's so much announced.
I know.
There's so much announced. So we get Danny Moonstar, Havoc, Jubilee, Multiple Man box. Multiple Man, it was a miss for me because for every point of damage he takes, he should make a duplicate of himself until the entire board is just Multiple Man.
It's just covered with multiple. Instead, it's Multiple Man and a, what's his name? A group of the little people. What do they call the little people?
Oh my God. I'm so stuck in Malifaux. I'm like, peons.
No, they're not peons, goddamn.
But no. Like it has a little group where it's, like they did for the ninjas and stuff like that, It'd be so funny because then, like you'd have starter box, Multiple Man. Yeah. And it's Multiple Man in like, I mean, his health pool's not that high, right? It's like what, 6, 5? He's not that high up.
Yeah.
But like, so him and like 9 other little, clones that pop out of him would be hilarious. But of course, that would also be too powerful because every time you hit Multiple Man, you just make more clones.
Yeah. Just nuts.
You're like, okay, yeah, all right, I finally stunned Multiple Man. Yeah, but it's 6 other clones. I mean, yeah, they only have like 1 health apiece, right? And like no defense, but they're running around doing all the objectives.
All the things. Yes. Oh my God.
That'd be hilarious. Anyway, Jubilee looked really interesting.
Yes.
Little limited, but you know, I didn't have a chance to look through every single card, but those are the ones that stuck out to me from that group. Then, oh God.
Bastion, Nimrod, and the Omega Sentinels box. Wow. Sign me. Yeah, sign me up for that box. Wow.
It's really funny because, I mean, they're going to be hardcore nerds who are like, oh, I love the Sentinel characters, right? But like most people who, I don't know, watch like the X-Men series and like, you know, are like really like X-Men but never got into the comic books, right?
Yeah.
Are now suddenly head over heels for Sentinels, including Mini Sentinel. Like the paint jobs they had on some of those models were absolutely out of this world.
Oh boy.
But seeing like Sentinels be like this diversified and interesting.
Yes.
Is awesome.
Really a glow up to the whole Sentinels thing.
Then they came out with Operation Zero Tolerance Character in Crisis card pack, which does have the narrative campaign system and 2 Prime Sentinels.
Yeah,
narrative campaign, folks.
And
I love it.
Yeah. I believe this is the box where we're going to see all the updated cards for everybody that's gotten glow ups in the recent history, as well as Crisis cards for the new Crisis set. And yeah, and to sweeten the pot, you're not just buying a card set, you're getting 2 Prime Sentinels. So, and those models are very cool looking.
Oh yeah.
Really got a kick out of those.
They did they do a bang up job with all of their models, you know, aside from the 4-piece head that used to exist. But the, once they started launching the Sentinels, I was like, God, I didn't know I really liked Sentinels until I saw them in plastic. Like, I love Sentinels,
They're
man.
so good.
And then now that they have all this like massive support and everything for the whole Sentinel team, it's just so good. So good. Then they've got the Leader Red Hulk and Sensational She-Hulk box. So if you like painting heads, the Leader's there for you.
Yes,
right?
It's a big head.
I like seeing, you know, the Hulk stuff or the Gamma stuff.
Yeah, I really like the Red Hulk because I was about to buy another Hulk just to make a Red Hulk.
And then they're like, hey, here's a Red Hulk.
Now here's Red Hulk.
Which is interesting because it also doubles as a Han Solo model. I'm kidding, folks. It's AMG. It's the same company. Come on, Bill.
That's a stretch.
Well, when he changes from his, you know,
when he gets
solo form into Hulk.
Into Red Hulk. Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, that's the thing. That's why Han's always so cool, calm, and collected.
I would really love that crossover.
Someone out there do a webcomic, you know, / webtoon of that, because you will have people rolling, and then you can thank us for the idea.
Sure.
2 new affiliations, Thunderbolts and Intelligentsia.
Yeah, just new ways to branch out and to get some more leadership abilities spread throughout the factions. A really cool idea. Intelligentsia, I think, is really good for all the Brainiac type characters. You know, your MODOKs, your Mysterios, all of your more cerebral characters will now maybe have a cool little place to call home and be bringable.
Isn't Brainiac DC? I'm kidding. You said Brainiac players. Folks.
I get it, Brainiac.
It's so funny.
Oh, boy.
Onslaught in his own affiliation box.
Yep. He's going to get an Onslaught's grip box. So, and then these last few are just boxes they just kind of showed with concept art, not even a plastic. So it's going to be Onslaught along with his own affiliation. Then there's going to be a Blackheart box,
Very
a
interesting.
Hulkling box. You know, he's going to be in a box of some kind. And then they announced 2 starter sets, not going to say new, but Asgardians, which is 10 models. So if you are digging on the Asgardians and the 4 box wasn't good enough for you, you'll be able to get all 10. And same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. You'll be able to get a 10-pack of that faction.
I mean, I don't want to sound like the old man on the porch, but like I gotta say how they've come so far from the days of you have to buy 7 boxes without affiliation models that you're probably never going to use because those models don't necessarily work together to make your one affiliation. Well, guess what? They're streamlining it now. And I think that's like, I mean, they had to go that route.
Yeah.
Like eventually they had to move there. Malifaux we'll talk about in a minute is doing something similar. But it's really important now to get the product that the people want in their hands. And having those starter sets is really the way to do it. And I really like to see them moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. They just go from strength to strength. And now that MCP is maturing and they're able to do these things, these starter boxes that actually have the faction in them. So you're really lowering the price point for entry. It's an expensive box, but it's everything you need. It is a full up. I buy this box. I build and paint the models. I play legal games with the contents of this box because it has all the cards you need, all the stuff. So, and these, they're starter sets. They're going to be great. So they're going to have what you need to play the game. You don't have to buy the core box. So I love it. It's great. Good on Atomic Mass for reaching that point to where they can do this kind of thing and not be seen as a money grab.
Yeah.
Because it's really not. It's actually a cheaper way to get in. And I hope they sell 1 billion of them.
I think it's going to get a lot of people in that were otherwise hesitant. You know, I mean, like the 4 box is great, but the full 10, you're just like, oh, I have everything I need in affiliation now.
Yep.
Great way to get new players in, narrative players in. Because you're staying, within your particular affiliation instead of trying to build a try hard list or something.
Yeah.
Just to play a narrative game, which, with the system coming out in Operation Zero is important.
Yeah.
So MCP never fails.
No.
It's always a win.
Yep. AMG just really, there was so much applause going on during their things, genuine applause going on. It dwarfed almost everybody else's releases, including the big heavyweight in the room, which I was actually kind of shocked that there were some of those announcements that just landed with a thud. Yeah. They just did not hit. So, okay.
Crickets,
whatever.
Crickets.
I mean, there's always going to be people that are like, yay, I love those Ogren, they're so cool. Horus Heresy Ogren. Blah. Okay, whatever.
And always someone who yells WOG. So.
That's true. Yeah. All right, let's move on real quick. Mantic Games, the people that are doing Halo Flashpoint, they're having their really big push for their Epic system, so their small scale. If you really like small scale combat, it's definitely something to look into. It's got a way cheaper entry point than Legions Imperialis. It doesn't have the theme or the background that Legions Imperialis has, and I have never played it, so I can't tell you which game set system is better. I've heard people say that this Epic system is really streamlined and quick to play and fun, but, it's also pretty darn new, so I'm giving it a chance to mature before I jump into it. Halo is getting noble teams. A big rework FAQ is being generated from all the different player feedback, so going to see some fundamental, basic changes to the game, although it doesn't really need that much. It's a very simple game, trust me. They're going to do the Recon Edition sets, so it's going to have the Recon Edition models and at a cheaper price point. The rules update, like I said, is coming out. It's going to be released around Adepticon, so it should be out now. They announced some new factions, so the Forerunners, which is going to have Sentinel and Promethean units, so we can expect to see new plastics coming out here shortly. The Spartan SPI Fire Team, the Grunt Goblin Hunter Captain are coming out, and they're going to have a new UNSC Firebase gaming mat and terrain coming out. So their terrain is so generically acceptable in so many different games. So whether you're playing 5 parsecs or Infinity, it works great for Infinity. So seeing that new Battlefield terrain stuff coming out, it's awesome. This could be used in so many different game systems. It's great. So that's where Mantic is. Now let's hit the Malifaux.
Yeah, so this was, of course, exciting for us as we've been ranting about it recently, and particularly me, who I don't have too many Malifaux miniatures. I don't know what you're talking about, Bill. But
I don't think you have a problem.
Yeah, not at all. No. Not at all.
Nope.
I mean, I won't have a problem anymore once I have every model. So
there's like 600, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying.
So big announcement is new book coming out. This is the campaign book. It has 2 parts to it. The first is the campaign mode, which,
Sign me up.
If you've heard us, how much we've loved past versions of Path to Glory, this this is kind of the same vein where you get to make your own master and your own crew. And you get to level up, get models. Models will die off, throughout the course of the campaign, that kind of thing. And as your master matures, you get to upgrade their abilities, their equipment, their triggers, and their personalized crew card.
Yes.
Opens up new things for them, like totems and things like that they can gain access to. So this is like a narrative player's kit basher's dream.
Huge dream right here.
And one thing too that, like, if folks don't know it, Through the Breach actually has these make your own male or female model kits that Weird sells. So they have so many different parts.
I know.
And all of it is Malifaux aesthetic. So you will be able to essentially make a fully customized, and this is for their RPG, by the way. So it fits into this narrative structure so well. They're releasing this now. There is actually a way to have a fully narrative engagement, so divorce yourself from the competitive gameplay and get in there and try and create this story and this, crazy, multiple crews, depending on how many people you have in the campaign, as you progress through the world of Malifaux, and interact, if you got someone who's a really good writer, with other aspects of the lore and stuff. There's going to be a lot of lore in the book. To help give it a backdrop. And one thing that attaches to this is the co-op mode. So the other part of the campaign book is about the co-op mode, where you will join, one or more players to go against the, they just call them NPs, right? Non-players. And, they have 13 different scenarios. They do have ways to increase difficulty in the scenarios too. But you're meant to play through all 13, and it's just, hey, we've come across this threat that's greater than our individual factions, and so we're going to bind together to work through it. And you can play, as few as one model, depending on how many you're playing with, and you become like the caster in the party, or the healer, or more tanky, right? And what's cool is that they've set it up specifically so that way the co-op mode parlays directly into the campaign mode, so you can get upgrades, weapons, that kind of thing, so you can kit your crew, right? So that way you can grow the campaign side of things. And, by layering that together, not only it's generally it's you against another crew, right? But throwing in this co-op mode has so much story potential, right? Narrative flexibility, and if you have someone who's, can run the campaign, well enough, those co-op scenarios are going to be interwoven into the rest of the games that are playing. It is just one of the most phenomenal things that could have happened. I'm just getting into it here. I've been a month and change into Malifaux, and I've already spent on it. And now they're releasing something for the Albuquerque narrative gamers. It's they knew that Bill was going to get me into this, so they needed to make this. I mean, it's obviously it was made specifically with us in mind and no one else. But this also, I think, will help with the new Minions to Masters that they're doing. This is really cool. So they're one of the companies that does convention specific models and things like that. What they're trying to do is get new people into the game. You earn points by playing games and engaging in events at your local game store, right? Much to Bill's chagrin, they use the XP network for it.
I don't know enough about XP network to, anytime I have to give all my information to a third party thing like that. But you're also talking to the person who just signed out, who signed up for Best Coast pairings and all that stuff. So I'm going to be jumping in and seeing how it works. It's just, I've heard a couple of horror stories about, people that signed up, and then the next day they had 4,000 emails from different companies everywhere. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess your stuff got sold. So I don't know how that's being handled. I heard somebody say that they stopped doing that. I don't know enough about it to really shed on it. I'm just not super excited about being forced into an ecosystem that I might not like.
Yeah, so Bill's walking back his comments he made to me when XP Network came
Yeah.
out. So just let you guys know. Anyway, but yeah, it's going to use the XP Network, and hopefully, if you got a good, solid local group, that the local game store will be able to jump on the minions to masters, because you will be able to actually earn those convention exclusive miniatures. They stated specifically in the video, in the seminar, that you will be able to do so.
Yes.
So there's a lot of incentive to get involved in it, and it's a great way to help the onboarding process.
Yeah.
But also, speak of the onboarding process, you've heard what Bill and I were talking about with their product releases, right? Where they're releasing like a bunch of different crew boxes, but they don't have everything in keyword. And so, like, Tara, for example, her first one, you get the little void fiends in there, which aren't even kind of like your standard minion,
right?
Yeah, you get the big bad. Oh, I don't remember its name. The Cthulhu Beast, Void Beast.
Void Beast.
But you don't get the hounds, right? And the hounds are kind of more of like her standard minion.
Yeah,
right?
they're way more flavor for her. So
you don't get Aeonis, and you don't get there's so many things that you don't get in there. But then they release Terra Timeless, right? And that brings in a whole bunch more. There's still a few other things that you want to go out and get, such as V and Hardstop Herbert. But the major issue is that it's like, some of them they release back to back. You have both Seamuses, you have both Sandeeps, right? You have both McMornings now. Now you have both Terras, and shortly you'll have both of the Victoria Chambers. But what they promise they're going to start doing is actually releasing both crew boxes in keyword, so that way you can get your entire crew up and going immediately and have both versions of your master and your cards.
Yes,
and,
which is huge, except not as important now.
I mean, maybe for us, but getting new players in, if you're like...
That's true. Yeah, it is very true. Yes.
And that was an issue with, if you're trying to go back and like make the crews from before, if you're looking like M3E, they would sell these boxes. The only way to get this master, right, the alternate master, is to buy this box that has two other models you're never going to use, right?
Yep.
Like, for example, oh my God, what's his name? Damien? Yeah.
Oh, Damien Crow?
No, not Damien Crow. The bald guy with the glasses who has a
did this
tyrant in
last
his
time.
body.
Yeah.
We did it last time. Ashcroft? No, if it's Ashcroft. Give me a second.
I know. We're so bad.
Ravencroft.
Okay, thank you. I was just getting down there. Damien Raven. I just had to filter by master. And
Bill, cut all that stuff out.
Yes, I will.
So Damien Ravencroft, if he wanted his alternate form where he's like ascending and like unleashing all of his power when he's fighting the Burning Man, you also have to get the box that has Lindley, the storyteller, and the humble old grandma who helps keep the library. And you're probably never going to use those models unless for some reason you want to play Lindley. But if you want to play Lindley, having recently built her storyteller version, I have some advice. Buy the Alice in Wonderland boxes, because putting together Lindley's storyteller was the worst modeling experience of my life.
Wow.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right.
But yeah, so they're trying to condense it down so you can just get your masters, both versions, your totems, and, like your stock standard keyword stuff, right? There are going to be some things that are dual keyword that you'll be able to, that you have to go to other resources for, like Host Ducat is, Department of Ungenly Affairs and Wastrel, right? So it's Lucas McCabe as well.
And you're going to have to still shop for your versatiles, but, having the boxes with the keywords drop near enough to each other that you can get into it is huge. And one of the things I like about what they said during their announcement was, and I kind of wondered why they would drop a new edition, start pushing it, and then just literally went radio silent for so long.
Yeah.
And of course, the answer was quite simply, how do you push a new game and an organized play setup and all this other stuff when I can't even get you the books and cards for the stuff that's out now?
Yeah.
And it just, all of a sudden it dawned on me, and it made sense that, they didn't really want to be pushing too hard when they couldn't give new players any facility other than print on demand, other than print from your home computer. Now that the cards are out, the books are out, they've reached our shores and they have reached the hot little hands of people, now it makes sense. Now they're going to start the full court press on the new edition. And okay, it does make sense. I think you could have been a little more transparent with that. Hey, we're not pushing because, we can't get all of these relatively needed things into the hands of players. Here, that's why when this stuff comes in, we'll start doing all the stuff. So it makes sense. I think they should have probably made that clearer about a month and a half ago.
I agree.
So that everybody could know, hey, yes, you can go shopping around for the stuff like you and I did, or you can just hold off. We'll get the stuff out as quickly as we can. Because everything now should get back on track with their newly reflowed roadmap now that their shipping is back to some semblance of normal. So,
well, they better hurry up with English, Ivan. That's all I'm saying. They announced the box, Bill. It's not out yet.
Yep.
Sorry. We'll talk about our FOMO here with hobby and stuff.
Oh, those guys.
But like huge win. So what they stated in the seminar is that, and thanks to Defective Dice for actually recording this so we could see it.
Yeah, what a dude.
Yeah, like he's the homie. So we're looking at the campaign book being launched shortly before Gen Con. So we don't have to wait terribly long for it. And I think this is a really good chance if you are interested in this concept, right, of the campaign mode and not just playing the game for the competitive aspect, this is a good chance for you to start slow growing how you want to move forward, right? If you want to get that Through the Breach character box so you can start looking at concepts, I would say probably don't start gluing yet because you don't know what kind of weapons and things you're going to have access to if you're a WYSIWYG type.
Yep.
But certainly get them because I think they'll start popping off once the campaign book drops.
Yeah, I hope
those things might be hard to find, and I think you can make multiple characters from one box because of the amount of legs and things, legs, arms, torsos that they have. You should be able to get multiple characters out of it, which will be great, particularly for like totems and stuff, depending on what they might be. But so cool that, Weird was thinking specifically about me and Bill, even though I had no idea this game even really existed in a significant way until Bill got me into it. They knew I was coming.
Good for them.
It's part of the prophecy, but certainly you can expect when the campaign book drops is that our Malifaux Mondays are going to be consumed with our campaign. So Weird, slow on the uptake, but they're getting us there.
Yeah, they will get us there, and it's happening. Yay. Woo. Okay, so now, just as a recap, the biggest hits, for me, the biggest shocker was Shatterpoint doing something. I'm most intrigued by the new Battletech core stuff. The 12-year-old me that got hippie happy dances was for all the Fleet Commander stuff because I truly love that game. And overall, the big thing for me is the Malifaux 4th edition. That campaign book is gonna be hot. Hot. Hopes and prayers, baby. So what were the biggies for you?
So for me, I'll just say, even though it feels uninspired, I still love me a good orc model. And so like having new orc releases is always welcome to me. I just love the aesthetic. The best 40K books, I don't care if you like Horus Heresy, the best 40K books are the orc books. Period. Full stop. And particularly when it's an audiobook, because gosh dang, did they get the right actor for those ones. He is so funny. He is so funny. Then for MCP, I'm loving the aesthetic of the Sentinels. Am I going to get into them? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one thing about MCP at this point is like talking about the number of models in Malifaux, right? Like MCP, there's so many. There's so much to do. Getting into that game in a competitive sense is hard.
Yes.
But there's so much to do there because I don't know. Maybe I really want to get, Jubilee because of her sparkles.
Yeah.
Even though she's not crazy strong. She shouldn't be. Jubilee's never been that powerful, but I like what they're doing with MCP all the time.
Yep.
Like every single time I see something come up, I'm like, yeah, you guys know what to do.
They
know
nail
what to do
every time. Yep.
I really like the kill team stuff. Again, Colonial Marines versus Alien. Red Terror versus Cadians.
Yeah.
God, it's gonna be so fun. That's just gonna be so fun. Particularly when you actually name your Cadians, and then you can create like this cool narrative from it. But of course, Malifaux is the big hit for me.
Yep.
I'm over the moon about it. I'm just like I said, they announced that, and then the Easter sale went up, and I was like, dear God, just take my money already.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here it is. And
straight.
We know that. So Gen Con's usually the big thing for Mal. That's where they do their biggest releases.
Yeah.
So there's more to see from there. But as soon as we can get our grubby little hands on the campaign books, y'all's going to get some narrative.
Damn straight. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to blow through some hobby progress and bat reps because we've already gone a couple hours here. So, and I think we're going to move a lot of the main show to anger issues because most of that stuff there is anger issues.
Oh, yeah.
So let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with hobby and bat reps.
You see, for my part, I look upon a promise as binding.
Promise was
never occurred to me.
I command the king's ship, not a private yacht. We do not have time for your damned hobbies, sir.
All right, hobby progress, or what did I not do over the last month because I was a little busy? Okay, so yes, I was bitten by the Conflict 47 bug. Yes, mostly because, well, all right, reasons later. I finished up the intro box, got it all built and primed, started on the starter box because there's an introductory box and a starter box. So I've started on the starter box, and someone who shall remain nameless but is my wife picked me up the Allied or the U.S. starter box and the Axis starter box for my birthday. So yeah, I have a lot of Conflict 47 shit. So I do really enjoy that game. It's a way of playing bolt action without playing bolt action and the overhead that comes with that. So
big question on that.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to cut this later, but does the U.S. starter box let you fire all your generals within 2 days?
I'm pretty sure yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be lore accurate.
Oh.
Anyhow,
Hey-o.
whoa, moving on. So I built a bunch of Malifaux stuff. So I got the fleshy stuff and the overeater stuff. All that stuff got built and painted. The whole Sonya box got built and painted. No, got built and primed. Liar. And I built some buildings, mostly for Conflict 47, but oddly enough, they work perfectly for Malifaux and a bunch of other games. So
Who'd have thunk it?
yeah, who'd have thunk? And these are MicroArt Studio, so they are over the top. When we play the game, I'll show you that one. It's just so how they put it together is just brilliant. But anyway, MicroArt Studio, great freaking kits, super easy to build. Just, think about how, when you're building it, how it's supposed to be built and follow their rules when they say don't glue something, because that's important. And then mostly I whined about not being able to move one of my fingers. So painting was a real pain in the ass. So yeah, that's about all I did. What'd you do?
So lots of Malifaux stuff. So I built, primed, and painted the McMorning Malpractitioner starter. I picked that up because, well, frankly, when Bill and I were talking initially, McMorning was the first master that I saw where I was like, it kind of speaks to me, But then Bill's like, he's getting all of the resers and all that. So I kind of shied away from it at first. And that's how I fell in love with Neverborn. But Bill was also doing Neverborn. So it wasn't fair. But I mean, between the two of us, we're going to have everything soon.
Yeah.
So I eventually, I got him I was just over a month ago. I got him built, painted him. Absolutely love those models. I got some Western town terrains.
That looks off the hook cool.
It is.
Where did you get that? What is that?
I got it off of Amazon, and let me get you the company's name. Free shout out here. This is, not something that they paid me to do.
They should have.
God, these guys, I tell you, Tower Rex are the ones who I got it from. It's all pre-cut MDF. It's not painted, but it came with a rather large house. It can fit the 30 millimeter bases on the top of the stairs, and actually you can flip open the top of the house so you can see inside.
Nice.
So pretty cool there. Then it came with, oh my God, one house is practically the size of the shed. Then it came with 3 other houses. It came with a blacksmith's. I guess it's partially a house too, right? But there's a blacksmithy. There is a stables, and then it came with 2 large vendor carts, and then 4 smaller vendor carts, and they have different things on there.
That's cool.
Fish, flour, swords, that kind of stuff. I covered wagon as well as a wheelbarrow. So that was the set that I got. It was on sale. Like I said, it doesn't have flat roofing for most of it. So like Malifaux, of course, you do want to have the ability to jump onto things.
Yeah.
But with the carts and things, they actually give you cloth that you build in with the terrain, so it's like a flat top, so you can have people jump on top of the different carts for dramatic purposes if you want them to.
So cool.
And it just went together really well. It was like kind of a pleasure to build. It has a bunch of fencing too.
Always handy. Yep.
Yeah. So the next time we do a Malifaux Monday, it'll be on my terrain with my desert mat that I've got. So I put all that together. I built English Ivan, Double Agent, Jin, Bakara, Host Dukat, and the Alleyway Echo. I wasn't sure how I wanted to paint them and if I wanted them on like standard base, right, with the standard bases they come with. And I decided I do because I'm going to do this really interesting like blood theme for all of it, where I'm going to have like pretty much the only color on the models is going to be like the red and the blood. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing it in like black and white grayscale.
Sort of a monochrome.
Yeah. That way they look kind of insidious. I built and primed Lin Lee's storyteller. The major stories, which include Sun Wukong, Raijin, and Thon Tiong. I couldn't find a paper tiger on short notice, but when I bought the stories, it came with like a smattering of other models that the person had for Lin Lee. So they had a very poorly built storyteller, as well as a 3D printed tiger, right? That was the right size. So I'm using that as a proxy for right now. It did come with calligraphers, but I don't know what glue they used to put them on the bottom because it's like nigh impossible to get it off even after putting them in the freezer. And then they 3D printed, which can be used for the versatile, which is Zhang.
Okay.
And that looks pretty too. But like it was cheaper than purchasing the stories box from Weird, and I got all those accompanying models, right?
Nice.
So then I'm using that tiger for the paper tiger. I also built Lin Lee, Bibliothecary, as well as her versatile map and the Jade Rabbit. I should have waited. Because putting the Lin Lee models together was a pain in the butt. And they have Alice in Wonderland as the alternate sculpts for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what did I do to myself? Why did I do this? Like they have alternate, like particularly the one for Storyteller, because putting Storyteller together, like I said, was the worst modeling experience I've ever had. And that's just because they did this really convoluted thing where this book that she's like reading and like she has her hand on, the papers are coming out surrounding it and creating this giant like clawed hand that's supposed to be holding it, and it wraps around her body, but her heel on her left foot has to go into this tiny little divot on one side of the paper, and it's just
God,
it was too much.
Yeah.
Like I almost rage quit. So hindsight, I should have just waited for Alice because it's a pre-assembled model.
Some of their kids you just question who in hell decided to slice it that way. Who put it into the sprue builder and said, this will work, the 3-part heads or 4-part heads. That just infuriates me, especially when there's not enough of an undercut to warrant it not coming out of the mold.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could dial back the hair just a little bit to get rid of that undercut. You don't have to make it a literal 4-part head, but that's a pet peeve. And
So some of those are real annoying. And Lin Lee, both versions of her, I think she's a total of 3 parts for her head. I don't know. It was a lot. But the thing that gets me about Malifaux miniatures is, so they're like human scale. Like the humans are proportional.
Yeah.
They're not heroic scale, right? Kind of thing. If your character, as lithe as they may be, has a hand outstretched, they're going to be attached to the sprue right underneath their pinky finger. No matter what, the most delicate part of the model is going to be attached to sprue. It is infuriating sometimes, but they're custom prints. So when they have the quote-unquote pre-assembled models, it's just one chunk of plastic, if we're honest about it. But like the Alice in Wonderland, right? It's her trying to like pull herself halfway out of a book. It looks amazing, right? And I wouldn't have to wrap plastic paper around this dainty little model, though she looks beautiful, and like have this giant claw. It looks cool. All right. Anyway, that was a rant.
Okay.
Done.
Moving on.
I put here I built and primed Zoraida Toil and Trouble boxes. So they did a Halloween print of Zoraida where you have, her totem, which is normally a voodoo doll, is a frog prince.
Yeah.
Love it. The Waldgeists, which are normally trees, are witches inspired by Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And then your Big Bad Juju is it's a pot with the chicken legs, right?
Yeah.
Like Baba Yaga. And like the pot's like the liquids coming to life out of it. And the other thing is
gorgeous.
All right. The Adzi and the other little bug models, but reimagined as creepy children in the woods. Now, when I say I built them, I actually purchased, thanks to Vic actually having this kind of stuff in stock, like a bunch of 3D printed mushrooms and the like fallen sticks and things, because I'm also using those for her bog markers.
Yeah.
So I can make up to 5 bog markers. They're 50 millimeters. So any 50 millimeters I'm not using because I'm modeling a different way, I'm turning those in my bog markers. And so when I built them, I actually put other pieces on there. So I zhuzhed them up and got those primed. In the Commander world, I finished my Casey Jones deck.
Oh, yeah.
That was a blast. We'll talk about in Bat Reps. Then I built a Samwise Gamgee deck, which is it's green and white, and he makes food tokens anytime a non-token creature comes into play. And then you can sacrifice food to bring what they call historic spells from your graveyard to your hand, which historic spells are legendary creatures, artifacts, and sagas, right? So he's just a funny little guy. And then I turned him into a monster of a deck I'll talk about in a minute. And then I also built Saruman the White Hand.
Oh, jeez.
When I was over at Decked, they had recently gotten in a bunch of Lord of the Rings cards. And as big a Lord of the Rings fan as I am, I wasn't playing Magic at the time it came out.
Yeah.
And so I'm over here just like, oh my God, I want this. 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 And I, last night I unabashedly bought myself the One Ring. Not the most expensive printing, of course.
I was going to say, you bought that from Drake?
Yeah.
What?
No, it's Post Malone.
Oh, Post Malone. Sorry.
Yeah, no, they got a copy of the One Ring in. It's the full art where Gollum's reaching for the ring as it falls. And I was just like, oh God, I want it.
Gotta have it.
It's one of those ones where like, I'm at a point where like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
And you're going to get mad at yourself.
Yeah.
For not doing it. Yep.
And so that parlays into my Bat Reps, because most of my Bat Reps is Commander games.
It does. So jump in.
So Commander games, I played 4 games, which was Casey Jones, Samwise Gamgee, Saruman, and Anti-Ool. Casey Jones was hilarious. I kind of dirtled for most of the game. Like, I just wasn't hitting what I needed, and that's what I hate with red sometimes. It's mono red. But I told you guys about it before where, you cast Casey, you draw 3 cards at the beginning of your next upkeep, you discard 3 cards at random. That's what he does. Wow. Right? But there's another card that came out in the Turtles called Cool But Rude.
Yeah.
And it is a class. So you cast it for 1 in a red, and you can get to the second level of the class for additional 1 in a red. And the second level of the class is whenever you discard a card, you do 2 damage to each opponent. Right?
Damn.
So, we're all just kind of going back and forth. There was a funny game because someone was playing this, it's called Aminato, the Planeswalker version, where she can switch control of permanents, right? Non-land permanents, like to the net player to the left or the right.
Oh, that's...
And so they started switching things up, and it was hilarious. I was having a lot of fun with it. And then, like, it hit a point where I look at my hand and like, I think I win right now. But we were like... Because I was trying not to push. I wasn't trying to be a jerk or anything, because I was like, this deck can pop off if I really try. But if I pop off wrong, I lose.
Yeah.
And so I got to the point where I was like, I think I have my window here. And so I did it. I ended up casting Casey, and then I was like, I cast a spell called Bonus Round, where after you cast Bonus Round, you anytime you cast a spell, you copy it, right?
Oh.
But if you cast multiple versions of Bonus Round, it starts to exponentially increase the amount of times you copy it. So I was able to cast Bonus Round, recast it from my graveyard, and then I was casting mana spell after mana spell, and just like by the end of it, I think I had like 50 mana in my pool. And I copied Casey so many times. I had 3 cards left in my deck. And I could have won with, like Dual Caster Mage, copy Dual Caster Mage infinitely and swing and win the game. So what I decided to do instead, because I had Cool But Rude out on the table, I was like, I'm going to go to my end step, and I'm going to discard my hand down to 7 cards, and you all take 65 damage or 66 damage.
Geez.
It was hilarious. Anti-Ool, again, I wasn't trying to push too hard. In fact, I had the win on turn 3, but I just like, I'm not going to play. I'm going to see what everyone else wants to do. And everyone's like, playing their decks and stuff. And then like I realized, it's one of our members in the pod had to leave, right?
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to play Witherbloom Apprentice. Does anyone have a response? No. I'm going to cast Chain of Smog, targeting myself. And Witherbloom Apprentice says, whenever you cast or copy a spell, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Chain of Smog, you can cast it targeting yourself, and it says target player discards 2 cards. Then that player may choose to copy Chain of Smog, and if they do, they can choose new targets for the copy, right? So I just targeted myself until even though I don't have any more cards in my hand, I just target myself. I'm like, I'm going to keep casting this until you guys die, right? Oop, win the game. Then Saruman is my very toned down deck. It's pretty much almost like the Lord of the Rings pre-con commander deck, but I'm using Saruman instead of Sauron. So it's not a high potency level, not like, Sauron the Dark Lord, who's like absurdly powerful as a card. And so like I was just not, getting the hits and stuff, but I was doing just enough to, keep creatures off the board if they were too bad, that kind of thing. And then I realized, I'm looking at the board and like, man, I don't have my 1 ring. I can't activate Mount Doom, because Mount Doom has 5 of red and a black. Tap it, sacrifice it, and a legendary artifact.
Ooh.
If you do, pick 2 creatures, destroy the rest.
Wow.
And then I looked over and I had my Mox Opal on the field, and it's a legendary artifact. And I was like, oh, I can do this. And that swung the entire game. And it's funny because the Soul type player, which is blue, black, green, was like rezzing and pulling stuff out of the grave and doing like living death to like, all right, exile the creatures in your graveyard, sacrifice the creatures that you have, and then take the creatures that you removed from the graveyard and put them on the battlefield, right? And then I got to the point where I played Mnemonic Betrayal, and they had a full board at that point, and they would be able to swing for lethal on the next turn. And I was like, Mnemonic Betrayal, I'm going to cast your own living death from your graveyard, sacrifice all the creatures you have on board, and mine come back, right? It was just like this crazy back and forth, but eventually I edged it out. And then with Samwise, it was essentially like 2-on-1 at that point because there were only 3 people in the pod, but they were like coming at me hard. Like, I'm going to exile this creature. I'm going to blow up these 2 enchantments, but I just had value as I was going, right? And so it got to the point where whenever I attacked, I was creating that many 1/1 vampires with lifelink, but for every creature that entered the battlefield, each other creature got a +1/+1 counter on it. So it got to the point where it was like, all right, I can swing at both of you for about 60 plus damage.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, it was like, do you guys just want to scoop? I can math it out for you if you want me to, So in short, I won all 4 games.
Nice.
I did a little gold fishing for Malifaux since I haven't been able to sit down and do like a straight, I'm playing a game across from someone. So it's just, like me, playing with my toys, dinosaurs fighting each other.
Cool.
But just like getting used to flipping cards and when I flip cards, that kind of stuff. And then I've been playing lots of Path of Exile, which is more of a anger issue. So
yeah.
Your turn, Bill.
Okay, give me 1 second to answer Matt. Okay, anyway, sorry about that delay. Okay, so my bat reps,
Bitcoins.
Yeah, I'm releasing my own cryptocurrency, and anyway,
it's called the dollar bill.
I get it. I see what you did there. Anyway, like I said, I got 7 games of Conflict 47, and 5 of them were the tutorial games. So, actually, it was a learning thing that Perry and I were doing. He is over the moon for the World War II stuff. Mm-hmm. He has a huge collection of bolt action stuff. And so whenever we played bolt action, it was always with his stuff. Mm-hmm. He got hardcore into Conflict 47, but owing to his current situation, i.e. recently divorced, he just doesn't have the money to piss around. So that's why I'm getting so much K47 stuff, so that I can return the favor and let him play with my stuff. But we played the games using some proxies from the bolt action stuff, but a lot of the K47 stuff, just when we played the 2 real games, just absolutely straight out over the top fun. Mm-hmm. The games came down to the bottom of 6, almost always. One of them ended at the bottom of 5, but it was pretty much one of those deals where I had 2 Schreckwolfen, which are the Axis werewolves. Mm-hmm. and he was down to 2 Paragons, U.S. Paragons, which are their super elite super soldiers, basically the Captain America serum.
Yeah.
It was going to come down to whoever got the first dice out of the bag, and it came out to be mine. And I had a surging rift die, so it was over. I wiped the Paragons out. The other game came down to the bottom of 6, and we had substantially more forces because we understood more about the game and how maybe rushing blindly forward isn't the best idea. So we actually did this weird stuff called tactics.
What?
Yeah, no. It was weird, man. It was hard, but we started doing it. And that game just got crazy fun. Really, just I'm so impressed with what they've done with Conflict 47. And, it's based off the Bolt Action 3.0 rules, but it's got its own subset of rules, and it's really just too terribly much fun. You will be hearing more about the game. Trust me. But honest to God, that was the only games I played. I played a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol, but it was literally just a get back in the swing of things kind of game. Yeah. So we weren't really keeping track of the crisis and all that stuff. We were running around getting stuff and honestly just trying to get the new dice, the math rock mentality going. So that was all of that. So I think we should honestly move everything that we have in what we call the main show to be After Dark or Anger Issues.
Yeah, so we got some anger issues about the GW stuff and other things that have just been going on. And
yeah.
So we'll talk about those when we discuss our anger issues with you. But this has been the Adepticon episodes. You've been Adepticoned by us into listening to about 2 hours of programming. So thank you. Thank you for letting us. Well, we don't take your money.
No, not really. Unless you're a Patreon, in which case we take your money.
Yeah. I mean, Bill takes your money.
That's true.
Yeah. I just show up and sound pretty. So,
but it pays for the hosting. So,
right? There you go. Hey. So we really want to thank you all for joining us. A lot of these things, we're going to be breaking down their individual episodes. I would hazard a guess, like we talked about earlier, that we will be discussing Conquest next time. Yeah. As we do a breakdown of this massive overhaul. And Bill will sit there and try and preach the gospel of the Nords.
Yes.
Well, I sit here and say, well,
being dead is better.
Well, God is dead.
You would know.
Yeah.
You killed him.
I mean, yes. Well, the city-states did.
Okay, good point. That's true. Yeah, good point.
But anyway, yeah, so we'll break it out a little bit more. One big thing is that Bill and I will be looking at doing our first Malifaux Monday battle report. So look for that to come out so we can have some additional content. Be kind with us as we, well, first off, Bill breaks off the rust and I learn how to use, my limbs as if I'm just learning how to walk and hold myself up.
Yeah, this first bat rep is going to be janky, but we'll learn and we'll go and we'll move on.
Yeah, but I mean, like really kind of the format to start is going to be us just playing crew boxes, right?
Yep.
So crew box versus crew box, even though Bill cheated and had another, model to his this time around. It's the normal. He's not in the box. I'm only playing with box miniatures. But that's going to vary because some of them are more around like the 22, 23 point range. We're going to be playing a point Soulstone for those who are hardcore. And then we're playing a 35 Soulstone game.
Yep.
Euripides versus the Chambers sisters.
Yeah.
It's going to be a scrum as we just get our sea legs, and I'll run my big fat angry frozen giants at the blenders.
At the lithe and characterful women.
Characterful?
Yeah.
They're assassins. They're straight murderers. So we'll see how it goes.
Wow. How stereotypical can you get?
They have the katanas and a demon blade.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Good point. And guns.
Did you want to talk about merch before we shut down?
Yeah. So if y'all are interested, we're looking at getting some stuff printed up. So if there's things you all would be interested in, whether it's going to be dice, shirts, I'm even looking at card sleeves, stickers, that kind of stuff. We're going to be looking at producing it. So if there's any interest, just let us know. I mean, we're not promising anything that's going to necessarily come out, but we're looking at stuff that we can put out.
Yeah.
If you want to show some support.
There you go.
And pay Bill more money. But
I'm always the bad guy.
Always the bad guy. And because he's the bad guy, we have some anger issues. So stick around for that if you Patreon. So that way you can hear, well, just how angry Bill is.
The Albuquerque Narrative Gamers Podcast, or Anger Podcast, is protected under the Creative Commons license. You can find information for this at creativecommons.org. Information and links about the show's topics will be in the show notes, as will any other copyright information that needs to be presented.